Now, I saw in my dream that they sat talking together like this until supper was ready. When it was time to eat, they sat down to a table filled with good substantial foods and robust wine. All their conversation around the table was about the Lord of the hill and included what he had done and the purpose behind it. For instance, they talked about why he had built that house. By what they said, I understood that he had been a great warrior and had fought with and slain him who had the power of death. Therefore, since the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise also partook of the same, that through death he might render powerless him who had the power of death, that is, the devil, and might free those who through fear of death were subject to slavery all their lives. Hebrews chapter 2 verses 14 and 15. But not without great danger to himself, which made me love him all the more. Christian continued the conversation as he ate. For, as they said, and as I believe, he lost a lot of blood doing this, but he did it all in the glory of grace and with a motive of pure love for his country. Besides this, some of the others around the table said they had spoken with him following his death on the cross. Plus, they testified that they heard from his own lips that he is such a lover of poor pilgrims that no one else is like him in the whole world. To make their point, they gave an example of how he had stripped himself of his glory so he might do this for the poor. Those who had heard from him confirmed that he would not live in the mountain of Zion alone. They also talked of how he had made many pilgrims into princes, even though by nature they were born beggars, and their nature originated from the dunghill. He raises the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the ash heap to make them sit with nobles and inherit a seat of honor. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he set the world on them. 1 Samuel chapter 2 verse 8. In this way they spoke together till late at night, and after they had committed themselves to their Lord for protection, they each went to bed. They put Christian up in a large upper bedchamber with a window that opened toward the sunrise. The name of the room was Peace, where he slept until dawn. When he awoke that morning, he sang joyfully, "Where am I now? Is this the love and care of Jesus for the men that pilgrims are, thus to provide that I should be forgiven, and dwell already the next door to heaven?" So in the morning they all got up, and after more conversation, they told Christian he should not leave until they had shown him the distinctive features of that place. First, they brought him into the study, where they showed him records of the greatest antiquity. There in my dream they showed Christian the bloodline of the Lord of the hill. It showed that he was the son of the Ancient of Days and came from an eternal generation. These records also revealed more fully the deeds he had done and the names of many hundreds whom he had recruited into his service. It also showed how he had placed them in such a dwelling that would never pass away by undergoing decay or the passing of time. Then they read to him some of the notable deeds performed by some of his servants, including how they had subdued kingdoms, brought about righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, and escaped the edge of the sword. yet out of weakness. They were made strong and became valiant in the fight, and turned foreign armies to flight. Who by faith conquered kingdoms, performed acts of righteousness, obtained promises, shut the mouths of lions, quenched the power of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, from weakness were made strong, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Hebrews chapter 11, verses 33 and 34. Then they read another part of the records of the house, which revealed how willing their Lord was to receive any person, no matter what kind of person they were, into his favor. This even included people who had in the past offered excessive insults to his character and accomplishments. Along with these, several other historical documents provided accounts of many other famous events, which Christian also viewed. These records included things both ancient and modern, along with prophecies and predictions concerning specific matters that are certain to be fulfilled, both to the dread and amazement of enemies and the comfort and relief of pilgrims. The next day, they brought Christian into the armory, where they showed him a variety of military weapons, which their Lord had provided for pilgrims. There was a sword, shield, helmet, breastplate, all prayer, and shoes that would not wear out. The great supply was enough to outfit as many men for the service of their Lord as there are multitudes of stars in the heavens. They also showed him some of the military equipment which some of his servants had used to accomplish wonderful things. They showed him Moses' rod, the hammer and nail with which Jael slew Sisera, the pitchers, trumpets, and lamps too, with which Gideon put the Midian armies to flight. Then they showed him the ox goad, with which Shamgar used to slay 600 men, and the jawbone with which Samson did such mighty feats. They also brought out the sling and stone with which David slew Goliath of Gath, and the sword their Lord would eventually use to kill the man of sin on that day of final victory over the predator. Besides these items, they showed him many excellent things that delighted Christian very much. They finished, and at the end of the day, they went to bed again. Then I saw in my dream on the following day that Christian got up expecting to head out on his journey, but those in the palace invited him to stay for one more day. They said, "If the day is clear, we will show you the Delectable Mountains, for they will further add to your comfort, because they are so much nearer to the celestial city than where you are now." So he agreed to stay, and the next morning they brought him to the top of the house and said, "Look south." When he did, he saw a range of very pleasant mountains a great distance away. They were covered with beautiful woods, vineyards, fruits of all sorts, as well as flowers. Springs and fountains flowed freely, and the place was appealing to look at. He will dwell in the heights. His refuge will be the impregnable rock. His bread will be given him. His water will be sure. Your eyes will see the King in his beauty. They will behold a far distant land. Isaiah chapter 33, verses 16 and 17.